Hey everyone, welcome to the second video in our series on business continuity and business recovery planning. So what we're going to cover in this video is the need to reinvent. So what we found is that during times of adversity, we're forced to think outside the square. We have to reinvent the way we work and the way we behave. And classic example of that is the COVID lockdown. So everybody was confined to home. You could go for a walk, but that was about, or to the supermarket, but that was about it. So what we had to do is find ways to keep our businesses running, or at least ticking over under that scenario. So Zoom meetings came to the fore, webinars came to the fore, and we highly used throughout that period. So what we did is we changed the way that we did something so that we could keep operating. So there's 4 key ways to reinvent your business in this environment. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through each of those and talk about what that means. The first of the ways that you can reinvent in this environment is by innovating. So innovation is defined as the introduction of new things, ideas, or ways of doing something. Nothing new there. But what I loved under the lockdown scenario is the stories of the businesses and the examples of the businesses that completely pivoted and tweaked the way or what they did to keep their business operating, to keep the money coming in, and to keep their people working. One of the most obvious examples to me is and I think they were a joinery business or they manufactured wood components, and obviously that business was gone under lockdown. So they flipped and they manufactured home office desks. They could contactlessly deliver those, which meant that they moved to being an essential service. At a time when everybody was trying to set up for work from home, if they didn't already have that set up, it's a perfect and amazing example of a business innovating and changing the way that they do something or doing something different so that they could keep operating. For your business, innovation might be as simple as introducing a new product or service. It's really a matter of looking at what you do, how you do it, and identifying whether there's a better way or a different way of doing things than you usually do. The second way that you can reinvent your business is by re-engineering. So what do we mean when we say that? Re-engineering is about changing or improving the design of a product or a system. So you use what you've already got to produce something completely different. Good example under lockdown was the alcohol manufacturers across the world that shifted to producing hand sanitizer. That's what we've got, producing something completely different and in a different market, but it was in demand. There was a lack of supply, and if they were quick and got onto it, they could get it out there and make money. Another one, with me being a petrol head, another one that I loved was the Formula 1 and V8 supercar teams that took on the challenge of producing ventilators for the likes of the NHS and those sorts of organisations. So they've switched from building race cars and engines and racing those cars to producing ventilators. Completely different, but it was something that was demanded. They applied their know-how and their technology and what they had to try and service an under-serviced industry during the time. So that's re-engineering. Changing or improving the design of a product or a system. Doing something completely different. The third way that you can reinvent your business is to adapt or change the delivery of that product or service. So we've already talked about everybody moving to Zoom meetings. We were adapting to the current environment. So we were told that we couldn't congregate, we couldn't meet, that there was a risk of contagions. So we identified that we had to be apart, but there was ways for business to still continue. So adaptation is defined as the process by which a species becomes fitted to its environment. Humans are particularly good at this. We adapt to whatever environment that we're in. So with this, we have to identify how we can change the way we do things to be able to continue delivering in the new normal. Great example of this during the lockdown was the businesses that traditionally supplied restaurants, so those food wholesalers that supplied in bulk, that switched to doing online orders and delivery to residential homes. And there was a lot of that. It took a little bit longer because obviously there was the investment in getting all of the online capability up and running, but they completely pivoted and adapted what they did and how they did it to meet the environment. So the restaurants were shut, so we switched to residential, which is where the demand is. The last way that you can reinvent your business is by widening your lane. So what do we mean by that? Widening your lane means broadening your product or service offering. So an example is the cafe or the restaurant that once we got out of level 4 that moved from just having case food and coffee to ready-made meals, wholesale ingredients, or bundles of ingredients and recipes so that you could make their signature recipe at home. Another great way, not a huge change, but another great way that you can reinvent what you do and how you do it. So just to recap, the 4 ways you can reinvent your business are: number 1, to innovate; number 2, to re-engineer; number 3, to adapt; and number 4, to widen your lane. So my question to you is, what can you do to reinvent and move forward with your business in the new normal? We'll be back shortly. In our next video, we're going to talk about the number 1 issue for most businesses, and that's cash flow. So we'll see you soon.